love our neighborhood. It's so good. Our house needs some work, but we want to own this house for a really long time, so we're okay putting in that work and getting it being perfect for us.
I love the diversity of like restaurants and breweries. We're really big beer people and food people, and so like when we can discover a bunch of new restaurants that are really good, we kind of latch onto that.
And today we are joined by our esteemed guests and arguably our favorite clients ever, Gary and Ashley. Thank you very much for being here. I feel like we hounded you for a while, so sorry about that. But let's just start and sort of take it back to before you moved here, before maybe even you were thinking about moving here, right? Like, what were you doing? Where were you living? What were you up to? Just like, what did your life look like before this was on the radar?
Well, initially we moved to Nashville in 2017 for my job.
We were living in Denver before.
Mm-hmm.
Which I very much miss Denver a lot still, but it kind of was one of those things where when you're stuck in one place too long, you kind of get stir crazy, and so the opportunity was just perfect to be like, okay, Nashville seems like a cool city.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the reasons why I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take the job.
Yeah.
But we moved across the country, us and our pets, and we were, when we first moved there, we were renting, right? We were just renting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we rented for about 6 months before we came across the idea of, hey, we might actually be able to buy a house. And so we spoke to a couple of real estate agents, and unfortunately, the one that we chose probably wasn't our favorite agent of all time, but
Sure.
Ashley could probably elaborate a little bit more on that one.
It's how we found you guys, because we did a ton of research because the relationship is really important.
Yeah.
And we've gone through it where it hasn't been the best. And
Yeah.
so that's why it's funny looking back on it now, but it wasn't funny in the time. And I think we were also a bit naive in the sense that we didn't know we could fire them. We didn't know that we could say, you know what, this isn't working.
Yeah.
But that's why after that, we did so much research to figure out who we wanted to represent us, because that's really important for a successful relationship and process.
Yeah.
The process is stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel like you have someone like in your corner, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, you learned the hard way. Actually, Gary, can you scoot the mic just like to like right here? Just grab it. Yeah. Yeah. Cut that. Just kidding. But I mean, I think that is, you kind of learn the hard way, right? Like, and I think a lot of people are under that impression of like, well, this is the guy, and they feel very like, there's nothing I can do. But it's like, we try to make it known. I tell almost everybody, like, you could fire us if we aren't doing our job. And just like get that out there, and then we try really hard to not be fireable, like no reason to fire us. But it's interesting though.
Yeah, so we ended up buying 2 houses while we were in Nashville. We were there for 5 years.
How long did you live in Denver? Sorry.
I lived in Denver for almost 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm originally from Colorado, but I kind of was all over the place. I grew up in Pueblo, which is, about an hour and a half south of Denver. Then went to school in Boulder, so I was there for about 4 years, and then I was probably in Denver for about 6 years before I moved.
Okay.
So
Born and raised, though.
And we'd still be in Denver if Gary's job hadn't taken us out of the state. Like, hands down, we'll go back there at some point.
Yeah.
But we were really excited when we got that opportunity. He still works for that company. They're fantastic. And when they said, like, we need you to move to Nashville, we were stoked. At first, we were so excited about it. We were there for maybe a year when we realized it might not be the right spot for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, to give Nashville a little bit of credit, we were also there like prime COVID time. So we were also quarantining away from friends and fun things to do.
Yeah.
And so that's not Nashville's fault. But.
Yeah. But I mean, to go through that where no support structure is around, and it sounds pretty boring, Yeah.
I mean, because ultimately we moved there in 2017. We got married in 2019, but basically a year and a half leading up to our wedding, we were just scrimping. So, We like to go to breweries, we like to go to bars, we like to hang out, but we were just like, all right, we need to be on our best behavior, try and save some money. So we got married in November of 2019, and then the world shut down
Dang.
about 2 months after that.
Yeah, just like a boring season of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our first year of marriage was weird.
Yeah.
We were just like stuck at home, just us.
Yeah,
Yeah, put it to the test early on.
yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Very much.
Yeah. Made
Yeah,
it through.
but we knew like pretty early on that Nashville wasn't the right spot for us.
Yeah,
Interesting. 2 houses though, huh?
Nick, we move quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
We-
Apparently.
We're coming up on 2 years, so
Yeah, we
That's
just
crazy.
Yeah.
we just had this conversation of like we've never owned a house for more than 2 years.
Wow.
And I was like, Gary, next month is 2 years, and he was like, we're not moving. We're staying put. But yeah,
Which is great.
yeah,
like I've done quite a few cross country moves like as an adult.
Yeah.
We're just we tend to kind of shift around. But yeah, 2 houses. Our first house was a townhouse. We didn't love being that close to neighbors. It was a little bit too small. And then we were able to roll that in and buy a much bigger house in a much cooler part of town. And we thought that that would help us love Nashville a little bit more. It didn't,
Yeah.
but we did love that house. I do still miss that
it
house.
was
It was
within
great.
walking distance of a brewery, so that was nice.
Yeah.
But
where was it again?
East Nashville.
East-
Okay, that's what I had in my head, but I couldn't. I know we've talked about East Nashville
Yeah.
before, but yeah, okay, yeah, it's kind of it's very northeast-ish,
Yeah.
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 but even weirder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I work, I still work for that company now. I just work remotely, but they're based in East Nashville, and the commute was so easy,
Yeah.
and
Dang.
it was great. It
Yeah.
just Nashville wasn't ever going to check those boxes for us.
So what was the impetus to move here?
Ultimately, I think it was just I don't know. The broad statement is we just didn't vibe with Nashville. You know, whether it was just the state, politically, or just we didn't vibe with the people. I guess necessarily that
The attitude.
Wasn't enough green space.
Yeah.
It's like no sidewalks, a lot of crime.
Yeah.
Taxes are high. Schools are bad. In
Yeah.
my opinion, schools are bad.
Yeah.
So there's for us there just wasn't a lot of boxes being checked.
Yeah,
And so Gary brought it up to his company, and he was like, "Look, we don't love it here. If there's a chance for something else for us to move somewhere else, we'd love that opportunity."
yeah,
And I think they didn't want to lose Gary. They didn't want that to be the point where he was like, I can't do this job anymore because we don't like where we live.
totally.
So they started offering us a few other places.
Yeah.
Other
What was the
states.
short list?
We were just trying to figure that out this morning. Arkansas, Kansas, Florida. Those were the states that they were trying to offer us.
Yeah.
And we were like, those don't sound exciting to
Yeah.
us.
You're like, we don't like living here.
Right. Yeah. So
We don't want to live just next door.
yeah, yeah,
But then they opened it up and they were like, where would you live?
yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And then we were a bit paralyzed because now you're saying we can live anywhere. Where
Whoa.
do we want to live?
We went. I mean, yeah. We were like, that's a big.
You're
big
like,
task. to
touche.
tackle.
Great.
Yeah.
Now how do we answer this?
Yeah.
So did you guys narrow it down to like a couple of others outside of what the company
Or what did
offered?
that process look like of narrowing it down?
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, what we did was we used Denver as kind of our that's ground zero, and we wanted to compare that to other states, and so we did so much research. We had this really big rose
Poster
art
paper.
poster paper that we had each state that we were thinking of doing, and we had
All over our house.
cost of living, everything, and we just had it on our fridge, on the wall, and every time we would walk by, we could add a little note or something, or we could just read through it again and say, okay, well, this is not a pro, maybe this is
It was really easy to check, cross 15 states off.
Yeah.
These are states we definitely don't want to live in
Sure.
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
There's a lot of states we could just cross off.
Yeah.
And then it came down to our families are on opposite sides of the country. And so we wanted somewhere that was convenient for to get to both of them,
Yeah.
both families, which kind of made it any coast not work for
Out
us
the
because
window,
then
yeah.
the other family would be really far.
Yeah.
We looked at everything, cost of living. We wanted to make sure, Gary and I hate nothing more than a layover. So we didn't want a small regional airport. We wanted a big airport.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
We do hear that a lot. The airport here being
Yeah.
a major reason.
I mean, it's a huge asset, you know,
Delta
and it's
hub.
also such a tolerable airport.
One of the highest rated, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah. According to
Nick.com.
according to Trust Me, bro.
It is a nice
it is
airport.
nice though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
cool.
So, yeah. Do you have what was like the short list, or did it?
Like, did Chicagoland or anything similar? Because, you know, what other cities in the middle of the country would pop out, you know?
I mean,
We actually did kind of think about Kansas for a while because we have some friends that live there and they're really
Kansas
cool.
City might have been on the list
Kansas
for a tiny
City,
bit.
Yeah. Also, they have really good barbecue and
Yeah.
Kansas City,
all about
Kansas.
barbecue.
Not
Yeah.
Missouri.
I think Casey Mo. Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
burnt ends.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we looked at Chicago. We looked at, even though it would be really rough on travel, we looked at a few East Coast cities. We
I think we had a couple, like Maine was in there at one point.
should have been really hard for travel, but
We,
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the toughest part was when we got down to, you know, probably the last 5 or 6, and it just, it was a lot of research was put into it. A lot of time spent just like going through all the pros and cons.
Yeah.
And
we wanted to get it down to a few and then start doing like trips to
Yeah.
see, because we had been here quite a few times. We have Gary's like best friend from high school is here, and he has been here with his wife for years, and so we've been here before. We knew we liked it, but I never looked at it with the lens of, do I want to live here? Because I truthfully was afraid of winter.
Was that who came to the Super Bowl?
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
he's also one of my best friends.
But
from
not
high school.
But
the
not
one
the-
you're talking-
yeah.
Yeah. Cut that. Just kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we just kept coming back to Minneapolis. I don't know why it never crossed my mind before that, like truly, but when given the whole country, people think we're crazy that we like moved from, I mean, Nashville doesn't have, I mean, it does snow. It actually snowed more in winter in Nashville this year than here.
Totally.
Yeah.
But
It's a weird
that's
winter.
very weird
Yeah.
for Nashville. But people thought we were crazy because we were coming up to intense winter. Not just Minneapolis isn't just winter. It's like
Yeah.
intense winter.
Yeah.
I think that fear is what makes Minnesota tight.
That's what
Yeah.
that's what people
princess.
say.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
Keeps the
that.
riffraff out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until
But
you
yeah.
go to Fargo and you find out what real cold
Right.
is.
Have you? Have you? Did you go anywhere else? Did you travel to anywhere else, or did you just decide here before traveling to other spots?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we went to Seattle, right? Was one of them that we went to.
These like vacation scouting or like bona fide recon. Like we're going here to find out if we could.
It was kind of
live here.
vacation scouting.
It was
Yeah.
vacation scouting, but like we would specifically be like, well, let's go to this restaurant or this brewery just because the neighborhood looks cute and like
Sure.
it seems like it might actually be somewhere we'd be able to afford to live. So like it was like a pseudo vacation / house hunting
Yeah.
trip, but
But within the year we moved here, we came here 3 times for all vacation scouting times. But one time we met with you while we
Yep.
were here. We squeezed that
At that
in.
Starbucks. Yeah.
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 And so it was like vacation, but we were trying really hard to be smart about what we were looking at and making sure we were seeing different parts. And then, we were looking at houses all over the place because we wanted to know what was going to be the right spot for us.
Yeah.
and
Although it is exactly where we thought we were going to be.
Yeah.
We looked a lot in SLP in Golden Valley.
But that's what they were thinking already
Yeah.
was SLP. And so, but it's good. It's good to be like, I just want to see other places
Yeah.
so that I know that I have made the decision based on actual information
Yeah.
and not like a limited information.
Yeah, I would 100% highly recommend if you have the ability to travel to these places before you are like, I'm going to move there. It was super helpful for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't do that with Denver, and I loved it, but
Yeah.
I just moved to Denver. I
Yeah.
just like packed up my car and moved to Denver.
I feel like Denver has more clout as just being awesome in general.
Well, Denver has that appeal. I think more people are like, it's
That'd
like
be fine.
out west. I'm gonna make a life out there. Yeah, there's like something about it,
Yeah.
that has that. But yeah, Minnesota doesn't have that reputation, and again, it may be for the best. I don't know.
It's crazy. We've like convinced quite a few people to move here. Including us in our wedding, there were 14 people, and 10 of them currently live in the state of Minnesota.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, actually.
We just keep like pulling everyone.
Influencers. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just tell them that, the winter's not that bad. It's just like it is in Colorado. It's just you get a little bit more sun out there. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, seriously, more in recent history. I mean, the winters we grew up with,
This-
much more what people think of.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, last year was very snowy.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
but
last
it
year
wasn't
was
brutally
crazy.
cold because the brutally cold winters usually aren't that snowy.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's just science. When it's too cold, it doesn't snow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why.
I didn't know that until we moved here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned that fact
Yeah.
from a friend who's from Chicago. She was like, well, actually, it's too cold. And I was like,
And despite Lake Minnetonka's
Yeah.
size,
Yeah.
you don't get lake effect or anything weird like that here.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of nice. Was there anything that you were nervous about? I mean, you've been here a bunch, but yeah, anything in particular? Winter?
winter. We moved here in January.
You
Oh,
did.
yeah.
And we drove the small U-Haul in our car, and halfway through Iowa, you couldn't see out. There was no visual distance. You could not see while driving.
I was so flat that it like the gusty wind, like the whiteout is real in Iowa. Yeah.
So we had to stop. We had to spend the night, and the next morning, Gary's like shoveling our cars out.
Yeah.
And I was standing there, and I was like, Gary, what have we done? We've made a grave mistake. This is too cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and you're not coming from tropical, but way warmer. Both places were way warmer.
Right. And ultimately, no one believes me when I say this, but the coldest I've ever been was in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's just the humidity.
It's wet.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's wet mixed with when it does get below zero there. It feels like it's like the best way to describe it is a bone chilling cold.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
gets down into your body.
Yeah.
And I've never felt that cold in my life.
Yeah, it's more of a damp.
I agree with
Dank,
that though.
yeah.
Yeah.
I visited North Carolina in November, and I told you that it was in the 40s, and it was so cold.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah,
it was
you're like,
different.
I shouldn't be this cold. Like
Yeah.
for this temperature, I
Green
shouldn't
grass
feel this
on
cold.
people's lawns.
Yeah.
And bizarre.
Yeah, weird.
But
Okay, so at that point, go back to when you've now decided to move to Minnesota. You're sort of at the beginning of the process of making it all happen. You had a lot of strategy planning or deciding on it. Did you have a lot of strategy once you but you'd moved across country, so how did you tackle it, I guess?
I think the hardest part was making sure we wanted to sell our house. We wanted to be on the road. We wanted to be totally out of our house when we sold it.
Yeah.
But we wanted to sell it before we bought here, just because we've done the buy and sell on the same day, and it's just
Yeah.
stressful.
Yeah.
And so so timing was really important to make sure that we were able to do that. But we packed most of our stuff in a pod, and then that stayed in storage here for 4 months while we bought a house. And then what we needed, we did rent a 450 square foot studio apartment, which is really rough for 2 adults who work from home and 2 pets.
Yeah.
It was very small. I think this might be bigger than our...
Close. Yeah. It is close. Yeah.
were you
Our
guys
friend-
living at Millennium in West End, or where was it?
Central Park.
Central Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right off 394. And
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong; they were super nice apartments, and they were one of the very few that offered, halfway decent short-term lease option for us. And so, the way we looked at it, we're like, okay, we can do a 4-month lease. Like we have, basically 3 months to find a house, and we factor in a month for closing. And so we put Nick to work. That is for sure.
It was a team effort.
Yeah.
We did great.
We successfully did it.
Would you guys recommend? I'm just curious because we do get a lot of people asking about short-term accommodations and short of Airbnb. I mean, would you recommend? I mean, obviously it wasn't.
It wasn't furnished, right? You had to bring your own stuff.
Yep.
We brought our own stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was
But partial, obviously.
That was the
Right.
tough part. Was we had to basically pack up 90% of our stuff into a pod, but then take out the stuff that we knew that we needed to have for the next 4 months and put it in a U-Haul. So we kind of moved twice.
Was
Yeah.
that the minimum lease term? 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it was the shortest one we could find anywhere in the
Yeah.
cities, but also allowed pets.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, where were you guys staging the pods at? Where were those being kept? Do they have like warehousing spaces?
I think they have like
yeah.
lots.
Yeah,
or
it's like
something.
Brooklyn Park is where
Okay.
it is.
Yep.
Curious.
The hard thing about the pod, which we didn't know before we booked it, we still probably would have done it this way because we had to put a whole house worth of stuff somewhere.
Yeah.
Was where we bought a house, you could not put a pod on the street.
Yep.
And the pod did not fit in the little parking pad beside our driveway.
Sure.
So we had to pay technically to move twice because the movers had to unload the pod into a truck and then take the truck to our house and unload it into a truck.
Wow.
So we
Yep.
our moving, like the movers cost was way higher than we thought it would be because we weren't allowed to park a pod on,
St. Louis
on the
Park
street.
doesn't allow that, huh?
No.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Streets aren't wide enough, they say.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those pods can't be any wider than a pickup truck.
Yeah.
I,
I mean,
honestly don't think so.
yeah. Maybe a little wider than a pickup, but not than like a box truck,
Yeah.
which can park on the street.
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Interesting.
I think it's because they don't. I mean, you can leave a pod for a really long time.
Yeah.
And it's like they didn't want to say, sure, you can do that, and just like have people just have them.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's and St. Louis Park just kept saying, we'll put it in your driveway, and it's like, okay, well, that's
Yeah,
not going to
yeah,
work.
yeah.
You're
Not
like, you
feasible.
think I didn't think about that?
It would be really great if that could work.
Interesting.
So that part was a little bit rough,
Yeah.
but
I would still recommend pods. It's just
The flexibility of
the
it.
flexibility is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's
Yeah.
that or you move twice for sure.
Yeah.
right.
Because you go into a storage unit and then you load out. Yeah.
Right.
Same thing, basically. Okay. Then, like, I'm always just kind of curious how the dynamic works. Are one of you more looking at homes and one more looking at area, or is one like, did one of you handle logistics more, or were you both just kind of team effort on all that?
So Ashley is very organized, and I am very much the complete opposite. So I also am very forgetful. But Ashley is great at lists, very good at lists. Sometimes you know,
Too good at lists.
too good at lists. And so 3 months before we were moving, she already had a whole tablet of just like, these are the items we need to check off to do before we move. And I sometimes get a little overwhelmed by lists, but I understand why they're necessary.
Yeah.
Especially with my forgetfulness. But ultimately, I think it kind of, when it came to looking at houses, it was an area. I think it was a really big team effort.
I think we watched every single one of your YouTube videos.
Nice.
I'm not kidding. I think
Believe it.
we absolutely did.
And luckily, we had less then than we do now.
So much research trying to figure out where we wanted to be. So we had like short lists of where we thought we wanted to look at.
Yeah.
And then we tried to do as much exploring as we could once we got here to
Yeah.
narrow down some of those areas. But we both love looking at houses. Like
Yeah.
we're those people that if you see an open house sign, you're just pulling over. It doesn't matter.
Stop the car.
We have to see it. So we both really love doing that. But I had so many lists.
Yeah.
Our like moving was a little bit color coded because we had things we needed to take to the apartment versus things that were going to be in long-term storage. And so there was lots of, I just have to have a lot of lists.
Yeah.
It's the only way we could do it.
That's fair.
I love that.
Yeah, I think like it's good that one of you is that organized. Like that's a really common dynamic.
Oh,
like
absolutely
in
is.
like everybody we help, there's somebody who's a little more like like
Detail-oriented.
let me organize this stuff, you know, and then somebody who's less that way, but then they're maybe, you know, a little more. It's like they balance it in a different way, where like maybe one is a higher stress, one is less high. You know, it's like it's interesting. It's very interesting to see how that all you know pans out.
House
but-
hunters in real life for us.
Yeah, it's
Fascinating
it's fascinating.
to watch.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm very laissez-faire when it comes to
Yes,
things.
I feel you, man.
I'm like, if it's meant to be, it will happen, and it will get done. It just might not get done sooner, or it probably not gets done sooner, but it'll probably get done later. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Gary, must be your name.
Yeah.
And Ashley's like, if it's on a list, it
No,
will get done.
that's right.
Yeah.
It'll get checked off.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice happy
Yeah.
ground. I love that.
Yeah. So what areas were you considering? Like, what was a short list of areas, not cities, within the Twin Cities? You know, you ended up burying the lead here in St. Louis Park, but what were some other spots that you were considering? And were there any that you were considering that you were like, oh, never mind, I don't like that? And then others that you very well could have ended up in, you know?
The one that comes to mind when you say, like, we thought we were going to love it was Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
And now here's the thing. We love hanging out in Northeast.
Yeah.
Northeast felt too much like East Nashville.
It's so similar.
And it felt like it felt like the same. And one of the reasons we wanted to move is because we didn't want to feel like we were in the city. And we're not. And
Yeah.
that's on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The move to the suburbs was a very intentional move for
Yeah.
us. But we did look at a few houses in Northeast, and we liked them. But
did.
we would sit on the street and we were like, we don't like this.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't for us.
Is it like the artsy industrial vibe? Would you say
Yeah,
that?
it-
It's like
I mean-
a good summary.
Yeah, and
East
very,
Nashville.
very
yeah.
much like mid sort of transition. A lot of like a combination of newer stuff, newer buildings, newer houses, but then like the hip sort of brewery restaurant-y side of things,
Yeah.
and then not
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, which is what Northeast. There's like a grunge to it. You
Yeah.
know, in a way
Totally.
that I appreciate about Northeast,
Yeah.
but not everybody wants to live in that.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
And we hang out in Northeast frequently.
All the time.
We just
It's
didn't
awesome.
want to live there.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are darn close too. I mean, hop
Yeah.
right on 100 to 394. It's probably 12 minutes.
Easy, yeah.
15 on a bad day.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so okay. Any others like that you thought you would be into and then you decided against?
Did we look in South Minneapolis or like Richfield or
Oh,
any of those places?
I think Ridgefield
We
might have
did
been
look
one
at
of them,
Ridgefield.
where I was kind of excited about it because one of the things that really, I guess, put us off about Nashville was there's no sidewalks. You can't find a sidewalk in that city unless it's a newer home, and now, you know, basically the city says you have to put a sidewalk in if you're building a house or
I actually
developing
think
this
they
land.
just got rid of that law.
Great. So there's still going to be those houses where there's a sidewalk, but
Yep.
then no sidewalk connecting.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's crazy,
You
dude.
could just walk. You're walking down
Like a T out the front door and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
grass on either side?
Yeah.
Correct.
And then your neighbors don't have a
Yeah.
sidewalk. It's wacky. Yeah.
And that was one of the things where we're like, we will not move into a neighborhood that doesn't have sidewalks. And the one house that almost got us to move to somewhere that didn't have sidewalks, at least in that part of it, the area, was Golden Valley. That was
Yeah.
one house.
The red house, I
Yeah.
remember.
that
Yeah,
was so,
place is awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Golden Valley is weird that way. Yeah. Where there's a lot of areas with no sidewalk. Some
Yeah.
very, very cool houses.
Yeah.
But yeah. And okay. Any spots that, I guess, do you remember what sort of like what rose to the top other than St. Louis Park?
I was surprised by some areas, and I don't remember the neighborhoods, but some areas in St. Paul. Gary was really open to St. Paul. For some reason, I wasn't interested until we got here, and then there were quite a few neighborhoods that I was like, okay, no, I see it now. It like didn't translate through Google, but
Probably macro.
My
I
guess
think-
would be
I think it was
Mac
Mac.
Groveland
Yeah, I think it
or
was
Highland
Mac
Park. Yeah.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
those are right.
Probably the closest to St. Louis Park.
Yeah.
You know.
Right in between them is probably like
Yeah.
the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the character in those houses. I love that, like, the neighborhoods is just like, I don't know, it felt not cookie cutter, and like I know a lot of neighborhoods here like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really fell in love with Matt Grove. But
Gary says we'll have a house there one day. Like he still does. We were just talking about it.
That's fair. I mean,
It's
yeah.
pretty spendy over there too.
Yeah.
But it's sweet though, yeah. The houses are very, very cool.
Big fans.
Yeah,
Lower Triangle.
big fans, yeah.
Shout out.
How many offers did you make?
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
The Golden Valley house.
Yeah.
And then our house.
Okay. That's nice.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was more. Did we only do 2?
What
we only
what
did 2. We talked about 100 of
We
them.
talked-
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. I feel like we
Yeah.
talked through a lot, but
but what season was it?
it was like now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We put an offer in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah. Because you
It
said
was-
you moved in January, but that was to get
To
here
the
to then
cities,
start
yeah.
looking.
It was
Okay.
just starting to really heat up like it is now, always, right
Yeah.
after the Super Bowl, mid to late February.
Yeah.
I remember there was snow on the ground when we were looking.
It's nice. There's a lot of houses, but man, it's tough. It's always just, it's never like, I'll take it, Okay. Do you remember, not necessarily like price and down payment, do you remember what kind of terms you were flexing? Was it over list price?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything. Yeah.
At the time, I think I want to say I don't.
We were flirting with the 10%.
10%.
Is that fair to
I
say?
think we did 10% over. Yep.
You guys did a pretty staunch appraisal gap coverage. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were going all out. It's funny though, like you said that we only made 2 offers, but they were really good ones.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes people a very long time to be making winning offers,
Yeah.
and they just have to fail.
Well,
a
I
bunch of
kind of
times.
think that our first house buying in Nashville, that process, like we said, our realtor was a little rough. That process was really hard because our budget was so small.
Yeah.
And then when we bought our second house in Nashville, we had a great realtor. We're still friends with him. He's fantastic.
He actually reminds me of you guys. Like
Yeah,
he's-
really.
He's a musician. Like he's super cool.
Nice.
And so I feel like every time we buy a house, we learn so many things about how to buy a house.
Totally.
And so there were so many things that we were like, Nick, can we do this? And he was like, yeah, of course. Like,
Love that you know
let's
that.
let's do that.
Yeah.
Because we knew we didn't want to live in an apartment.
Yeah.
And we knew that we love St. Louis Park. And so when the right house came, what else can we throw at this
Yeah.
to make it as shiny as possible?
Totally.
And I feel like, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have known to say any of those things. I wouldn't have known that that's even an option
Yeah.
to pull out of our pocket.
The amount of people even people who have bought homes, but like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and we're like, this is a term that exists. They're like, what? I've never even heard of that, and yeah, terms are getting, and I suppose 10 years ago, some of these terms weren't being used because you didn't have to.
You couldn't give away a house.
People are getting, people are getting pretty creative with terms as it gets more and more competitive, but okay. But nonetheless, competitive offer, to get something. Yeah. Did you, let's see. I don't want to ask that question. So you ended up in St. Louis Park.
Yeah.
What is it about St. Louis Park that you love?
It's so good. It's like
Yes, love that. So organic.
Yeah.
it is the best spot, I think, for us. And our little nugget of the neighborhood of St. Louis Park is hands down the best. Like, it's so easy to get anywhere. And we have the nicest neighbors. Like, I know people in Minnesota are very nice. We have the nicest neighbors. There's been a lot of turnover on our street in the past 2 years. But in our experience, for the better, like, super great people just keep moving in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not leaving because they don't like the area. It's bigger and better things. I suppose.
Yes,
Yeah.
house size, stuff like
Yeah,
that. A lot of the time, is why the turnover would exist there. But the people are also building new there. They're like, what if I just double the size of the house on this lot? It's crazy.
There's
have,
quite a
we
few
have
houses
noticed
like that in the neighborhood.
We
Yeah.
noticed a lot of newer homes that are being built, and I mean they're beautiful,
Yeah.
but
We also see people like pop in the roofs because like we have a story and a half.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're not tall people.
Oh,
like it
yeah.
works out fine. But if you tried to walk
Yeah.
in upstairs of our house, you would not be able to.
Yeah.
It's very short up there.
We have a listing coming up like that where we didn't even shoot up there. I was like, it's going to look ridiculous. Like if I'm up there in the video, it's going to look absurd. You know, I'm like, it's nice up here. You know, 'cause for some people it's probably awesome, but I just look.
You guys have some pretty.
silly.
Yeah, tell us about your house. I mean, you have some pretty decent vertical clearance in your, second story, don't you?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or for you, it works for you guys, I guess.
I-
Oh,
I-
totally.
I still knock my head all the time because we have a king size bed.
Because it's
and
got
so
that,
it's, it's like this. So there are nights where I'll get up in the middle of the night, but I'll stand up and just knock my head every single time. And I'm like,
I think it's because the layout of that room has to be a certain way because of all of the built-in dressers.
Yeah.
There's so many of them up there that our bed can only go in one spot.
And is it like perpendicular or parallel to like the roof line?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when you get out of the bed, you're both of them are by like the slope of the ceiling.
Yeah.
That's common. Yeah, it's like, and even going up against the wall, then you're still kind of the same thing. You get out of bed and you're still like right by the
Where
slope
you
of
can
the
like
ceiling.
can't rock a headboard.
Yeah.
That would be rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have that. There is a random storage area that we still have not explored in the
It's
upstairs.
just closed and locked.
Yeah, we looked.
Yeah.
There's a trunk in there. There's a Wheaties box in there.
We should
Like,
probably go in there. Make sure there's nothing creepy in there. But something unique about our house that was hard for us to find the right one is we both work from home, so we had to have two very separate office spaces because we learned during COVID it's just better for both of our jobs if we're not sitting directly next to each other while trying to work.
Yeah.
So we had to find. Gary works out of the guest room, and I have upstairs because that story and a half is kind of a weird shape. There's a perfect spot for there to be an office space for me.
Yeah.
So it works out really great.
Yeah. We have some past clients who were on the podcast who they both work from home, and their like offices are across from each other, and he has a very loud voice, and like to where like she'll be on a Zoom call and she'll be like, ooh, I gotta mute or whatever. Yeah, like feeling very weird about it. But yeah, it makes sense. I'm glad I have an office, here to work out of. But I do think, having that separation would be huge. I can't even imagine your apartment.
Oh, well.
Well, Central Park had a ton of amenity spaces.
That's what I was
so
thinking.
I just like packed a backpack
Yeah.
and went to like the lounge space and worked from there.
Yeah, it'd have to be.
Because
Yeah.
I'm a graphic designer, so I can kind of like draw wherever I need to.
Yeah.
Whereas like Gary's office setup is a lot more precise.
Two big screens.
Yeah.
I need to use all the real estate on those.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's
But no, his like desk was like butted right up against the couch, which was butted right up against the TV, which was essentially in the kitchen. So it was
Yeah.
very, very small.
which was also the bathroom. Yeah.
And we had to put, we have a Peloton, and we had to bring that into the apartment too because we didn't want to store that. And so that was also stupid.
Dang.
We
Yeah.
had to like squeeze it in there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Dang.
Yeah. What are the logistics of the move? So you moved things up here before you had found your house here. Yeah. What were some of the logistics? You pods. You mentioned all that.
Yeah, we touched briefly.
Yeah. Because we talked about all this.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay. I couldn't remember if that was before the actual recording or not. Okay. Do you have a memory of this was before the recording. Do you remember how much it cost to move? And I'm especially curious about the double move thing that you were talking about. Was that, do you remember that price?
yeah. So I guess so. Ultimately, these are all round numbers that are in my head. But I believe the pod ended up costing about $2,500. But then we were paying to store it here, which that was, I think it was $150 a month or something like that.
Okay.
So it's not bad.
Yeah.
You pretty much and you could store it as long as you wanted to, and if you needed access to it, you could get access to it. And then we ended up getting a U-Haul, which was, I believe, a 15-footer or something like that. It wasn't big, and that a cross-country move, it ended up costing us $900. And then actually the fact that we had to get movers to go to the pods facility, move stuff into their truck, and then come to our house and then move it out, that ended up, I think that was almost $1,200. Like it was
It was a
Dang.
lot.
yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
But we had our friends just moved us out of the U-Haul into the apartment because we really didn't have that much stuff.
Yeah.
So that didn't cost us anything, a few beers. And
Yeah.
then
Let's go.
and then moving into the house was a lot. And there's also like they were moving multiple couches, multiple levels. You know, like we had a whole house in Nashville that was in a pod. So there was that move was probably the longest. We've moved a lot, and that I feel like time-wise was also the longest. Like it took a ton of time to get all of our stuff into that house.
Yeah. I bet. Especially with the, it's a bummer. Like the pod, I'm like, always like the pod is such like a brilliant business model and like such a brilliant solution to that. But then the fact that it couldn't be in front of your house, that sucks.
Also, a funny story about the pod. We called and made an appointment. We said we're going to have movers come unload the pod here. And then they said, great, bring this number when you get up to the front desk. We brought that number and they said, we don't have your pod. And I was like, cool, what do you mean?
Yeah.
They're like, it's not in Minnesota. And I was like, we are moving today. What do you mean it's not in Minnesota? They lost it.
Whoa.
It was in that facility. They found it.
I forgot
But
about that.
they were just like, we actually don't have any record of this. And I was like, cool, you have all of my stuff.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't have record of any of our belongings?
Oh my gosh.
I
It was
think
very
they
stressful.
Put an air
transposed-
tag in one. Yeah.
I think they transposed a couple of
People
numbers.
do that.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So-
Put an air tag in your pod. Yeah, it's crazy. Wow.
Carrie just blocked that out. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. You want
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah, sure. Well, now that you guys have been residents for almost 2 years, tell us about what you like the most, what you like the least.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think my favorite parts, one's really lame. Traffic to me here is not bad at all. I'm coming from Denver and Nashville, where Denver is just like, if it's, rush hour or the morning, I was like, I don't want to leave the house, unless I have to go to work. And then Nashville, it's a big circle. So all the highways just connect, and if you go the wrong exit, you're like, okay, well, just go around the city another time,
Yeah.
the opposite direction.
Or if there's an accident in Nashville, all the highways are shut down.
Yeah.
Like everything is backed up. It's really rough.
And there's always an accident in Nashville. So, but probably honestly traffic, and I love the diversity of restaurants and breweries, and we're really big beer people and food people, and so when we can discover a bunch of new restaurants that are really good, breweries that are really good, we kind of latch onto that, and I think we have here because it's a really good food scene and really good beer scene. So
Nice.
I'm going to follow up on that, but sorry.
We are outdoorsy people, and so I think Nashville just wasn't the right spot. And so I like that there are so many parks, and there's and then obviously lakes and just general the environment here is just really great. And so we do a lot of exploring. We have a golden retriever who needs a lot of exercise. And so we're always moving with him all over the place, which I really love. And that's not something we had in Nashville.
Yeah.
And also, it seems like here, people are just a lot more active, especially when, yesterday it was 48 degrees, 49 degrees, but everyone,
Tropical.
Yeah, I was driving around and
Beautiful.
everyone was just in lawn chairs in their front yard, just hanging out, riding bikes, and I was like, yeah, this is I love this city for that reason.
Yeah. I live near Lake of the Isles, and yesterday was crazy. I was like, it looks like it's 75
Yeah.
I
with
know.
how many people are
love
out.
it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. There's still a little bit of ice on the lake.
Doesn't matter. We don't see it. We don't care.
yeah. It's so cool.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, it's such a, I've said to people, some people want to visit here in January to feel what it's like here. But if they're coming from Florida, I'm like, it's going to feel insane.
Yeah.
you know, because it's such a massive change. But when you're here, you're like slowly sliding into it, you know, and then slowly sliding out of it. So the same reason that 45 feels amazing in March, it, you know, 30 doesn't feel that crazy in December because you've like, you know, gotten up to it. Whereas, yeah, if you're coming from 90 and then you get off the plane and it's 0, yeah, it's going to feel wild, you know?
Well, and I also think winter here, there's so much to do
Yeah.
Yeah.
that it's like everyone embraces the fact that winter kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But we're going to distract ourselves with all these things to do.
Yeah.
But like the flip side of that is the time of year that, in my opinion, sucks in Nashville is the whole summer.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do because people don't want to leave their house because it's miserable outside. But it's like here, it's like you embrace the fact, okay, outside sucks, but we're going to do this fun thing outside and it's not going to suck so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
I-
never gets crazy buck wild hot here. I mean, we
Yeah, it's
get,
like
like one
a couple
week.
Yeah, it's like,
we
yeah.
get hot days, but
The-
yeah, and our houses are well equipped for both swings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Locals, I feel like, complain about it, and then they make it seem like, oh, it gets really crazy, but it's like, not really. You know, compared to most places, it's not bad at all. But yeah, circling back on the loving, like the variety of food and stuff, what are some like recommendations? If
Or some of your favorite spots.
Yeah, somebody visiting or once they get here, like what are places that you think are maybe like a must?
Actually, one of my favorite places that I've been here was Colita, which I actually am blanking on. It's in Edina, right?
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis? Okay.
Yeah, 38th and Nicollet. 50th and Lindale or something like that. But yeah.
Recommend
That sounds
making.
right.
Yeah,
I think
something like that.
recommend making a reservation because I think they're normally pretty booked out, just kind of like Young Joni and stuff. And
Young Joni, dude.
we, but no, Colita I would recommend.
Blanking on food.
Neighborhood spots.
Brewery? You got an Indeed hat on.
Oh well, Indeed, I would definitely recommend Indeed. I'm a big fan of Udapils, just because their outdoor space is, I think, the best
Huge.
in the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
You guys ever go over to Steel Toe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have good beer. I
they
think.
do.
They do, and they always have great food trucks too, which
Yeah.
is really fun because I feel like every time we go, it's a different experience, you know?
Mhm.
As opposed to them having a kitchen.
True.
I actually like when there are food trucks.
Yeah.
Lake Monster is actually one of my favorites. I really like
That one's
there.
really good.
I think the breweries that allow dogs inside are the ones that we tend to go to more often because we like to bring Lincoln to breweries. And in the wintertime, of course, we're not going to be sitting outside typically. So it's nice to be able to have that option. In Nashville, it was like there's one brewery, and I think like a lot of locals or people that live there were just like, oh, dogs can go inside of a place that serves some form of beverage or food, and it's like here it's like everyone's just like, oh yeah,
Well,
dogs.
Have you met my dog?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that speaks to the fact that Nashville, I think, is made for people to visit, not people to live there.
Yeah.
And so here, a brewery wants you to come, and if getting you in the door is them saying your dog can come inside too, they're gonna be like, great, bring your dog. Whereas in Nashville, people aren't traveling with their dogs. Like a brewery doesn't care if there's a
Right.
dog there because
Yeah.
they're just there for the people to fly in and fly out.
Yeah.
Tons of dogs per capita here.
Yeah.
So many.
It's pretty nuts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any specific spots to St. Louis Park that you like?
I mean, walk in the park is the most delicious.
It's so good.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. And it doesn't look like it would be as good as it is.
No,
When
it's
you
so
walk up
good.
to it,
Yeah.
you're like, we'll try this place. And then you're like, okay, this place is insane. Yeah.
I mean, and that whole like Texatonka strip has like totally revamped
Yeah, Revival's over there, isn't it?
revivals over there. There's like a fish market.
Revival's
There's a
big.
deli.
Yeah.
It's a really great donut spot. Like
Burritos.
there's like it is really it's really coming along.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I live
Make
I
me
live
jealous.
not that far from y'all, but I don't end up right there that often, you know.
If anyone's listening and they want to open up a really fancy coffee shop in St. Louis
Yeah,
Park,
we
they
would
should.
really
That's
appreciate that.
That's the one thing I think it's missing is just we have what's the one that's in Texatonka?
Angel food.
Angel Food, and
It's a donut spot that makes really good coffee, but it's not like a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Sure.
just like a coffee shop, because what we like to do actually, kind of like on weekends, we like to just scope out coffee shops. I think my favorite one right now is a Fire Roast over in, oh man, it's
I gotta give that a googs. Yeah.
It's really good.
really it's really good. They also have really good breakfast sandwiches.
They
Yeah.
do.
It is. Okay, South Minneapolis.
What's it called?
It's in Howe. Okay, it's in like Longfellow.
Yep, Longfellow. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a ton of good stuff.
Fire
over by me.
roast.
I've never been there actually.
Sick. I feel like I've seen this building actually.
Yeah.
Okay, Fire Roast. That's a cool recommendation.
Yeah.
Wild Grind Coffee is really good. They're in the same building as a brewery, which is cool because if you go at noon, you could get coffee or beer depending on
Your mood.
what your mood is and what
Yeah.
your.
Oh, it's by Wild Minds.
It's in the same building.
Okay, yeah.
They have the same bar.
Yeah,
Interesting.
cool.
Go at 3:00.
Actually, I've
Get
gotten
one of
coffee
each.
there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Okay, that's great. Love the recommendations. Yeah, always nice to hear that stuff. Has there been, let's say, aside from winter, has there been anything that's been difficult to adapt to?
Oh, that is a good question.
Driving at full speeds on the highway, for example.
I don't think so. It's
It
like,
just felt very natural to y'all?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, to me, it actually, like, Minneapolis feels like a Denver. It feels like
it's like
Denver
a sister city
adjacent.
to Denver.
Yeah.
Sister city, yeah. And
Yeah.
so we kind of like, when we moved here, we kind of just felt at home, and it helps when you
Yes.
have, friends that have lived here for 7 years, and
That helps for sure.
they
Yeah.
kind of know all the ins and outs, and so they kind of gave us a crash course on like,
Pro tips.
yeah, pro tips pretty
For
much. Yeah.
sure.
And when we came to visit, and, for vacation purposes, they would just drive us. They drove us around a bunch of neighborhoods. And like, this neighborhood's awesome. This neighborhood's awesome. And
The
that was
weekend we
super
were
helpful.
like on the fence where it was like we were deciding. They did the greatest hits of the cities,
Sick.
and we went to so many restaurants, so many
Dang.
breweries, and so like they took us around because they were like, we want it to be like
We
we
wanna
want
sell
to
you.
show you.
Yeah.
We want to show you how
Dang.
great this is.
Where's the tip jar? That's
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
Actually, one thing I forgot. We had a massive map of the cities.
Oh, we did.
And we would we kind of like laid out or circled the areas that we wanted to check out, and we put notes in like where that is. Like, this is what we noticed. This is what we liked. This is what we didn't like. So that was super helpful with just looking at an actual map and having the notes on the map.
Yeah.
And we've handed that map off to others.
That's
and
cool.
they've like it's still going around somewhere.
Yeah.
Of opinions and
Dang.
That's cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. Okay. Is there anything that you miss about? I want to say where you came from, but maybe I should say Denver. You miss Denver more, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you miss about Denver that you can't have here? Mountains, I guess.
Mountains.
Mountains.
If Minnesota had like good mountains,
Yeah.
it would be perfect.
I know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But it'd be out of control. It'd be
It
so
would be.
expensive.
It would be Denver.
I really believe that.
We
Yeah.
have the lakes in lieu of that.
Yeah. Lakes and trees. We had a lot more trees here, in my opinion. But
Mountains, I mean, family is a one thing, like not necessarily having that, family support system, or being able just to drive an hour south and say, hey, what's going on,
yeah.
That's probably one thing that I miss specifically about Colorado. I will say one thing I miss about Nashville is the barbecue. I'm very sad
Yeah.
Yeah.
that unless you guys have a good recommendation for barbecue, I have not been able to find anything.
I feel like
here.
barbecue might be one of our, as much as I hate to say it, one of the weakest cuisines here.
Yeah.
Weakest
Not
cuisine.
great
That's a
here.
funny word. Honestly, I don't
There's
know.
a pretty good diversity of food here, but I feel like barbecue is not represented super strongly
Yeah.
versus other.
I'm gonna ask the dude from Austin, because they have great barbecue as well, and I think he's a bit of a barbecue snob in a good way. I'll see what he says is the
Aficionado,
best.
perhaps.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, that would be much appreciated. I've been on the hunt, and don't quote me on this, but I was in Uber recently, within the past few months, and the driver he smokes meat a lot, but just as a hobby, and we were out in my buddy and I were asking him, you know, where's a good barbecue spot? And he's like, well, you know, this is the reason why you don't see many barbecue spots here, and it's because there's some. He's talking about some ordinance that says you basically can't, like a restaurant, a commercial business can't smoke outside or apart from the restaurant. It has to do with some health code situation.
That doesn't surprise me.
So
That makes sense why it's like
Yeah.
maybe lacking here. Yeah.
The amount of smoke a barbecue creates.
yeah,
Burdensome.
Isn't there one,
litigation.
like, as you're heading out past or along Minnetonka? It's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Famous Dave's. That's the only barbecue joint I can think of over there in actually Minnetonka off Highway 7.
No, that's definitely not what I'm thinking.
There's not an actual barbecue joint that I could think of where I would just go there specifically.
Okay, yeah.
I've had good ribs at places, but not,
Yeah.
you know, they're not barbecue places.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm thinking of. I feel like it's maybe almost out by like Delano.
Oh, is this the place that I was telling you about that Brian and I love, Big Bore?
Maybe.
Is that what you're thinking of? That's way out in St. Michael. So
maybe.
maybe if it's worth the if it's worth the hike.
But anyway, that's a good one. I'll try. I'll get back to you on this.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I get to go back to Nashville many times a year for work, so I get the good parts, in my opinion, of Nashville without living there. Like, I still get to see our friends. I get to eat their good food. I get to catch a show. I get to like do all those things without actually living there.
You get
which
to
is-
experience it as it was intended.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like, it's kind of great. I get the best of both worlds because my company kept me on when we moved up here. So
Yeah.
now I just work remotely for them and I get to go back. So
That's nice.
yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I'm glad you're not, I'm glad there's not like a massive list of things that you're like, and I think that a lot of people don't associate the Twin Cities with being like as robust a cultural experience as it is. Again, probably for the better. Probably keeps it underrated. But then a lot of people are surprised by how much is going on here. Okay. Next thing, if we're ready to go, there's a thought experiment that I'm very curious about, which I think we're ready to go to it. Any other questions on this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We've covered most of it.
Yeah. So a thought experiment, which is that you have two choices, obviously hypothetical. One is you could take your current home, the four walls and the windows and the roof and the lot, or no, not in the lot, and put it on a lot anywhere that you wanted in the Twin Cities, I guess. Or you could take your dream home and put it on the lot that you currently have. What would you do?
I have such a quick answer.
That's good.
I think we're on the same page. I think we would probably. I would put the dream home on the current lot.
Nice. That's what I was thinking.
They're gonna love it.
The
Not
neighbors,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love our neighborhood. It's so good.
Yeah.
Our house needs some work, but
Yeah.
we want to own this house for a really long time. So we're okay putting in that work and getting it being perfect for us. But yeah, we have jokingly talked about just like demolishing our house and putting another house on there.
Yeah.
If we had
People have done it.
unlimited funds, we would.
Yeah.
I do actually. There is one thing I miss from Nashville. Our Nashville house had a huge yard,
Yeah.
and St. Louis Park, you do not get big.
My
yards.
main knock against SLP as a whole is there are very few larger lots.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a not current dog owner,
As
it's
dog
nice.
owners,
I don't care, but
Yeah.
I totally understand.
which can be exactly a pro or a con based on who you ask, but
Yeah.
they're not huge.
Yeah. And yeah, East Nashville does have weird lots.
Which was one of the better things about some of the Golden Valley house had a pretty
It was huge.
Golden Valley in general,
Yeah.
larger lots.
Yeah.
yeah.
But they're also a little more spread out with that, so I don't know if you would have had the sense of community that you have here. So
Yeah.
I mean, in Nashville, we were on a quarter acre. Like that's how big our lot was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're really, really close to our neighbors, like really close. But our is so long,
Yeah, long.
which was really great for
kinda
fetching.
minor.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Just, yeah. Yours is long too.
Yeah, I lucked out.
If you had to move somewhere else in the city, and budget is not, a consideration, so like dream spot in the cities, it could be down to the lot. It could be down to like on this lake, or Any thoughts on I think you should both have different answers. No talking about it.
We have talked about buying a lake house.
Yeah.
We don't know what lake.
Yeah.
We're not ready to buy it.
That's
There's
fair.
a lot of research we still have to do. I grew up on a lake, and so I want that.
Yeah.
I don't want to not live in the cities permanently. Like, I want this to be a second home.
Yeah.
So I would love to do that. But if I was moving my like primary residence, I think Linden Hills is the most beautiful neighborhood.
Do y'all go walking over there like somewhat frequently? Or just the few times you've been there, it's just awesome.
Just a really great brewery.
Wooden
we
ship or whatever.
Yeah.
I was just there the other day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the opposite direction. I really love. I guess I don't know if this counts or not, but Excelsior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he really does love that. Yeah.
love Excelsior. Which
Yeah.
if I didn't have a budget and I could live over there, yeah.
Which, very interestingly, Linden Hills and Excelsior, there is a big crossover of people considering
Goodness
both.
gracious.
You know,
I could see
because
that.
there's similar lifestyles, quaint, beautiful homes.
They're
You know,
probably in
close to
each-
the lake.
Respective for fans of, I would imagine.
Totally, yeah. Like, weirdly enough, they are. I would call it for fans of. You know, but yeah, it's funny because they're not that crazy.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and you could have a lake house technically in both.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Linden Hills, it wouldn't be actual lake frontage. Though.
Right. Across the street, like.
Yeah. That's what makes Linden Hills great, though, too, is that it's not just like private lakefront. You know, cool. I just went to Martina in Linden Hills the other day. It's tight. Yeah, it's where it's
Italian,
where.
right?
No, Brazilian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've eaten there once.
Yeah, it was
At night.
sick.
Yeah.
I also went to Brick House in White Bear Lake.
Nice.
Also, White Bear Lake for fans of Excelsior for sure. Cute little downtown
On the lake.
on a lake, super cute, and the restaurant was awesome. Yeah,
If we have a
super good.
colder winter too, they do a dog sledding event around Lake Minnetonka in Excelsior. It's like the Klondike.
Yeah,
I know they had to cancel
Festival.
it this year.
yeah, so weird.
Yeah, we didn't have. I don't think we ever got full ice on the lakes this year. Maybe we did on some of the smaller ones, but yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
I knew about the dog sledding only because I was going out there to get a haircut. I know it sounds crazy. I'm driving 30 minutes for a haircut. But I went out there and all the streets were closed and I was like, what's going on here? And like dog sledding. And I was like, oh, this place, this is the weirdest place.
You guys ever been to Maynard's in the summer?
Yeah.
Let's go.
That was on the greatest hits that our friends took
I
us
grew
the
up going
weekend
there.
that
Nice.
we were.
We go there. I go there a lot in the summer.
yeah.
They have a sick wharf.
I'm pretty sure it was on the way to Maynard's that I leaned over to Gary and said, "Oh, we're moving here," and he was like, "Great."
It's
I'm
beautiful.
Say
down.
no more. Okay, cool. Now we're gonna play a game called How Minnesotan Are You?
Oh,
Are you familiar? So this is just lighthearted. And arguably 5 out of 5 Minnesota is not necessarily good, right? It's maybe a little too Minnesotan. So not nailing it is probably a good thing. But y'all experience the cities a lot, so I think you're gonna do pretty well. But okay, have you been to the State Fair?
yeah.
Yes.
Have you been multiple times in one season?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been to the state fairgrounds for anything other than the state fair itself?
No.
No.
Okay. Safe to say you've never worked at the state fair?
No.
Okay. Feel free to chime in whenever.
Yeah. Have you ever had tater tot hot dish?
I bought my mom a Minnesota cookbook when we moved here, and she made me tater tot hot dish.
Yep.
I did not enjoy it. Mom, that was not your fault if you're
Fighting
watching.
words.
Yeah.
Fighting words.
Probably the wrong recipe.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you've never had it?
No, I don't think so.
I think there's a restaurant that sells it, but I can't remember what it is.
Beats
Yeah.
me.
Anyway, have you been to Valley Fair?
I have not.
No. I
Okay.
haven't.
Fair. Do you have a Caribou Perks card?
No.
Okay.
Fun fact, we do not like caribou.
Yeah, it's a divisive.
We're not fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are more fans of the local
Yeah.
spots.
Yeah.
Do you do
I mean-
Starbucks?
Yeah.
We will in a
Rightfully so.
pinch.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to be jammed up.
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
There's something to be said about
If it's
the
like 7
consistency.
o'clock on a
Yeah.
Tuesday and everything else is closed, I'll go to Starbucks.
That's
Okay.
fair. Have you ever said the term cold cranking amps?
No.
No,
That's,
think I
you
have
probably
either.
haven't had a cold enough winter yet to have to think about it. It has to do with like batteries, like car batteries.
I have one here. Have you ever cursed at a pothole?
Oh yes.
I mean, not in Minnesota. I mean,
okay.
just in
Nashville.
general in life. Yeah, Nashville.
yeah.
Roads aren't great.
Yeah.
How are the streets around you guys? Are they pretty good?
Not too bad actually.
Not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Have you ever jumped somebody's car?
Yes, actually. I just
Recently.
did this winter.
Was it in a Target parking lot?
Yes, actually it
in-
was.
Oh, you have done it at Target. Yes.
What?
Recently we did it at Lund's.
Okay, I think that's a very Minnesotan. One's pretty Minnesotan experience too. Yeah. It's just a common place. It's just like
helping a neighbor out.
yeah. And it's a
Well, my car
big
died.
parking lot. And yeah, it's for some reason that's where I imagine that seems the most Minnesotan thing. Have you ever owned a winter beater
No.
vehicle?
No.
Okay.
Just for the winter.
Yeah.
Have you started saying "ope" yet?
Just in jest.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Have you ever said up the road a piece?
No.
Have you ever heard somebody say
No.
up the road
I
a
have
piece?
not, no.
Okay. Do you measure distance in time?
20 minutes away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mostly, would you say?
Yeah.
In lieu of miles?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no idea how far this is from our house. I just know it's 12 minutes.
That's fair.
Is that a Minnesotan thing?
I think it's a
Or
Midwestern.
like a Midwestern thing?
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
And then some, and
Cool.
also being totally wrong about it is pretty Minnesotan.
Yeah.
It's like 5 minutes away. And you're like, it's 20, but okay.
Yeah. Oh, the golden one, I think. Have you participated in a Minnesotan goodbye yet? Or are you familiar?
I don't
No
know.
idea what that is.
It's what,
It's basically a overly long, drawn out,
Oh.
like you say,
Adios to
we're
someone.
going to take off, and then you're still there an hour later.
Then you stand and chat for another 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you move toward the door where you chat again.
And then you move outside where you chat again.
I have been a part of one of those, but not in Minnesota.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Yeah,
It's definitely a thing here.
my
Yeah.
mom's from Indiana, so I feel like
For sure. There's
that's
a
like,
Midwestern.
I grew up with
Yeah.
that kind of goodbye.
Yeah. It's
like
boy.
perceived to be rude to just be like, all right, we're gonna
Yeah.
dip.
Yeah.
We're gonna actually,
Like the Irish, it's the opposite of an Irish goodbye.
right.
The
Yeah.
longest.
Yeah. If I said 5'5", if I said 5'5", how would you answer?
55. I don't know what that is.
If I was like 5'5",
Oh, I know where you're going with that.
yeah.
No, I
How would
have
you
no idea.
answer?
407.
Yeah. Zip code.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I have to think about our zip code all the time.
Okay.
I've moved way too many times as an adult, and I'm just like, what is it now? I have
Yeah.
no idea.
But because it's everything here is there's some 5'6" supposedly up north, but yeah, you can just be like 5'5" and
Some of these are so funny. Have you ever been to a meat raffle?
No, but I want to go
I
so
know.
bad.
yeah.
I want to go so bad.
I could see y'all accidentally ending up at one like because of like brewery or whatever and being
There's
like,
so
oh,
many in Northeast.
yeah.
Yeah.
Our friends just won
Really?
something.
Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
Northeast
Dive
thing,
bars
huh?
and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, just like at the VFW, ripping tabs, like hitting up the
Yeah.
meat
Yeah.
raffle.
Yeah.
Have you played pull tabs?
yes.
Hey, I think I'm up still in general on pull tabs, and that was because
So
I
you
won
could say you're a bit of an
$300,
investor.
Okay.
Yeah.
when we were supposed to be at a hockey game but couldn't actually get in. So
Very Minnesotan sentence.
yeah,
Yeah. Have you ever disposed of pull tabs into a laundry basket?
Like the little one they give you?
Like a laundry basket.
Oh, no.
Like a big one, yeah. Where they just put it on the floor and you just like chuck it in there. Very dive bar-y. Oh shoot, there was a good one. Have you ever had bars? Have you ever brought bars
I don't think so.
to an event?
no.
Okay. I mean, you probably have had things that would qualify as bars here, but I think the true test is if you were like, I'm bringing bars. It's just like dessert.
Oh.
Like
Oh.
dessert, bars, brownies, stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You've never had bars?
Perhaps.
Like, bars,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Be back to like my cross country days when we used to
True.
get fed before the run. Somebody's mom would bring like a whole thing of snickerdoodles.
Yeah, Snickerdoodle is a bar.
I don't know if I've heard it phrased that way, but I'm familiar with what you're asking.
Yeah.
I might have to use that going forward. It's actually a good phrase.
yeah. I'll bring
My
bars.
My mind went straight to booze.
I know.
Yeah,
Bringing the bar.
Have you been up north?
Yep.
Okay. Have you been to Grand Marais?
Nope.
Okay. You should. It's cool. You been to Brainerd?
Nope.
Okay.
Where up north did you go? Just out of curiosity.
Well,
General.
Duluth, and then
Duluth is up north.
Duluth counts.
what's this? It's
Two
town
Harbors?
City.
So-
Two
Yeah,
Harbors.
that's
yeah.
where we
Had to go
rented
get-
a cabin for New Year's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to go get some beer there too, right?
Yeah.
At Castle Danger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their cream ale is nuts. It's one of my
I
favorites.
think we got some. Just
We
saying.
do.
Um,
Love Castle Danger.
have you ever chainsawed a lake? Just kidding. I'd be astonished if you
Yeah.
chainsawed a lake.
I know I have friends there.
Yeah. Have you ever scraped snow off your car with your bare hand?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
You ever used a credit card?
Not in Minnesota, but in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny. the new thing is like a warm bag of water. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
On like reels and TikTok, people do
Bag
that.
of
Yeah,
water?
yeah. Like fill it have you guys seen that? Fill
I
it
know
with
the
Ziploc
new
with
thing.
warm water and you just rub it on and it thaws it out immediately.
Oh. Okay. I imagine you dumped the water.
No, you keep
Okay.
it in the bag. Speaking
Bag.
of which,
Yeah. Pronounce that word.
Bag.
Bag.
Okay.
what did I say? Did I say bag?
You're pretty close to
you're
bag.
pretty good
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
It's like the first part of bag on bag.
Imagine there's a pizza or some kind of dish on the table here. When there's one piece left, will you cut it in half before you take the whole piece? Or will you just take the last piece?
I'm taking the last piece.
Let's go.
I would cut it in half.
Okay. How many times would you cut it in half?
I mean, if we all wanted a piece of it, I would cut it.
What if there just was no discussion? It's been there for a half hour. There's one piece left.
No, I would just ask you, Jesse, do
Oh.
you want that piece?
Okay.
And then I would
That's so kind
eat
of
it.
you.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah,
this is
my
on the
bad.
list, but or if it's specifically Minnesotan. But have you guys ever experienced like a four-way stop sign stalemate?
We call that.
Like the no you, no you,
Yeah.
and
Call
you're
that.
both like
It's a Minnesota standoff.
Oh yeah, we do it since there's a four-way stop just up the road from our house.
Oh my gosh.
We do it all the time.
Drives me
Yeah,
nuts.
it's like
I just roll through now.
Except-
I'm like I'm gonna save everyone the trouble.
We will both eventually. We will just go.
Yeah,
we will be
good.
like, we're not
You're saving
Yeah.
everyone.
not
the trouble.
entertaining that we're gonna be that one.
yeah.
Does that happen elsewhere? I feel like I don't even experience that. in
I'm
Iowa
sure,
when I go
but
visit
it
family.
is. Boy, it's a different level here.
Yeah.
For sure.
No you.
You ever call it pop?
No,
No.
Do you call it Coke?
I only call Coke Coke.
Okay.
I call.
Didn't know if like the Nashville, did they do that down there where they call all
They-
soda Coke? I'll have a Coke.
Yeah.
I think I'm a soda guy. It's just
Yeah.
soda.
I feel like I say
I'm a soda guy.
I say it from working in restaurants. I feel
Soda.
like that's what changed it.
Yeah.
You say pop or soda?
I say soda now.
Have you ever watched Minnesota high school hockey on TV?
Yes, actually.
go.
I recently did.
In a garage ever?
No, not in a garage.
Okay, that's just a next step. Yeah.
Did you see Chanhassen upset Minnetonka the other day?
No.
I
And they
actually
broke
saw
the
it.
glass, right?
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
the
yeah.
they
My Chanhassen Stormhawks.
Nice.
They
that was
upset
that
the
was that
Skippers.
game, right?
Yeah.
The audience, the viewers broke the glass.
Oh really? I saw
Right?
the team jump up on it, and I don't
Well,
know. It was a
that's-
huge upset.
Yeah.
Minnetonka's
Hooligans.
like half the team is D1 commits, and they lost.
And there was
It
a really
sick.
cool, cute clip of Minnetonka's goalie with a wheelbarrow of glass,
Oh really?
being like really respectful and taking it off the ice for everybody.
What a good sport.
Yeah.
You're at the state of hockey.
Yeah. Let's see. Couple more. Have you ever eaten a popover?
No.
Yeah.
What are they?
Oh, they're sick. They're like,
Is it like a hot pocket?
my God. No, it's not a hot. It's much better. It's like a roll, but it's mostly made of egg white.
Oh,
So it's
really?
like a large, bulbous, bready kind of thing.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I had one at this place up in St. Cloud. That was kind of like a. I don't know how to describe it. No.
Popovers are tight. They're usually with like a honey butter of some sort.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
sure
they're sick. They're really good.
Bread.
Yeah, but it's not really bread. It's like it's weird. It's like somewhere between like quiche and like a bun. I don't
Okay.
know. That's weird, but yeah. Have you ever eaten booyah?
No.
I don't. know
You ever
what that
been
is.
to a booyah?
Nope.
The only reason why I kind of think I might know what it is I thought I heard it in maybe one of your podcasts.
Could be.
It has something to do with firefighters.
Yeah, there's often like firefighter booyahs and or like
what is
it's an event basically, shindig maybe. Yeah.
Mall of America. Have you been to go shopping or people watch or otherwise?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Nice.
We've even done the log flume ride.
Whoa.
Our nieces came to visit and they really wanted to do it, and we were the cool aunt and uncle, and we were like, "Come on,
Let's
Yeah.
go. Is that
Doing
still
it.
Nickelodeon Universe in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We grew up with Knott's Camp Snoopy.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
I forgot Knott's. I forgot it was Knott's.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
thought Camp Snoopy.
That's awesome.
You ever use the outdoors as a refrigerator?
Gary loves beer.
I actually have before.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Yeah.
think in our studio apartment, I used our
Balcony or
our
balcony,
balcony
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a sweet spot where it's, between 32 and 38 degrees.
Yeah.
Gets too cold.
Speaking of which, you ever explode a soda in your vehicle?
Again, not in Minnesota, but yes, I have.
That's a doozy. Yeah. That's a bummer when you come out to your car and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I have a question, which is not a Minnesota specific thing. Have you gone to see your Avalanche play the Wild here at XL?
We have actually a couple
How was that?
times. It was great,
Yeah?
actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you go into the
Enemy
other
territory?
enemy territory, like people could be hostile sometimes, but no, everyone's super nice.
Our fans are so nice.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I think it's because everyone just really loves hockey. Like,
Yeah.
it's like because we have that giant Avalanche flag that we fly at our house.
Yeah.
And people will
We
be
love
like, hey, that's not very nice. And it's like, but they're not like,
Well, also people in the neighborhood now have their own flags.
oh yeah, we've started a flag
Oh.
war.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go. I love that. Yeah, I think Minnesota is passive too.
Yeah.
I was at the Viking Packer game on New Year's. We were just getting slapped around, and the Packer fans were not being nice, and all the Vikings fans were just like taking it.
Yeah.
We're
We're
a bunch
also-
of pushovers.
Yeah, we're also just historically not that good. And so I think there's a level of humility that comes along with being a Minnesota sports fan.
Yeah.
You're like, well, they tried and they tried their best and dang it.
Get them next time.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
I have a question for you. Have you guys been to a professional women's hockey game yet?
No, that's a new thing.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it. It's so fun.
One of our previous guests talked about going to one.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, it's
is
at XL, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's sick.
Nice.
Team outing.
Let's go. We haven't had one in a while.
No, I know. We haven't been
would be
busy.
nice.
Been too
Yeah.
busy because
Yeah.
nice people like y'all working with us.
Yeah.
And we will end the
promise
pod right now. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Thank you guys.
3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5, Minnesota.
Cool.
Yeah,
We'll
Love
take
that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I kind of like being in the little
Yeah,
middle of the
yeah,
road.
yeah.
I'll take it.
that's a healthy score. Yeah, cool. Okay, bye. Thank you.